Okay, picture this. Your Cambridge IT mock exam starts in exactly 20 minutes. You're sitting right outside the hall, flipping through your notes in a mild panic. You know the textbook inside and out, right? But here's the harsh reality. Knowing the facts and actually securing those top-band marks are two entirely different survival games. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're executing a high-stakes exam rescue for the 9626 syllabus. We're bypassing all the fluff and giving you the exact strategic frameworks you absolutely need to stop bleeding those grade boundary marks. Let's get into it.
So let's address the elephant in the room right away. You walk into the exam, you see a question about something complex, like, say, audio processing or system design, and you just write down everything you know. But then the paper comes back, and you've barely scraped a pass. Why? Look, you aren't losing massive marks because you lack technical knowledge. No way. You're leaking those critical points because of how you structure your answers. Examiners aren't just checking off what you know, they're actively testing your analytical depth and your procedural logic.
And honestly, looking at the contrast here brilliantly illustrates the exact problem. When we compare a flawed 2 out of 10 answer with a top-band 9 out of 10 response, the difference is just shocking. The flawed answer is vague, it's generic, and it's completely rote. The student literally just named the concept without any link to the scenario. But that top-band response, it's structured, it uses correct technical terminology, it explains the process mechanism clearly, and crucially, it is anchored directly to the context, like a hospital or a specific business. The difference is literally night and day.
So how do we fix this? Let's dive into the solution, starting with Phase 1, the diagnostic checkpoint. Before you write a single word, you have got to diagnose the exact demand of the question. You need to pay incredibly close attention to command words like define, describe, explain, analyze, evaluate, and apply. Think about it. If the examiner asks you to evaluate and you just describe, boom, you've instantly capped your mark scheme density. You must determine up front if the task is testing a process explanation, a system design understanding, or a scenario-based judgment.
Now, in just a moment, I'm going to let you in on a critical examiner clue that completely changes how marks are awarded. And I mean completely, even if your final answer turns out to be wrong. But to make that clue actually actionable for you, we first need to build the core answer framework that guarantees you're hitting those higher-order assessment objectives.
Let's see how this builds our ultimate rescue tool, the Peel-J framework. This is exactly how you structure a high-scoring written response. Ready? P is for point. State your direct answer with command word awareness. E is evidence. Drop in those technical facts from the syllabus to back it up. The next E is explanation. Describe the how and why behind that technical process. L is link, and this is huge. Explicitly tie your point back to the examiner's specific scenario. And finally, J for judgment. Provide an evaluative conclusion or a justified choice based on that exact scenario.
So how exactly does this protect you under pressure? By physically mapping your answer to point, evidence, explanation, link, and judgment, you completely bypass the missing depth trap that instantly costs students grade boundary points. When you ignore command words, you risk catastrophic mark loss, but layering in PELJ, that ensures every single mark available for evaluation, comparison, and justification is securely captured. It's like a safety net for your grade.
This brings us to the mechanical side of the exam. There is a universal 3-step solution here. Deconstruct, solve, and evaluate. First, you deconstruct the question to extract the relevant data, which, by the way, is especially crucial when you're dealing with complex data manipulation or tricky spreadsheet formulas like sum-ifs and count-ifs. Second, you extract and select the appropriate analytical framework. And third, you execute with clear notation using the correct terminology, headings, and presentation conventions. This isn't just for spreadsheets, guys. This is a universal methodology for the entire 9626 syllabus.
All right, here's that secret I promised earlier. The clue that changes everything is this: method marks matter. Principal examiners explicitly award marks for systematic processing. This means your structural logic, your ability to show your working, apply the correct formats, and demonstrate the steps of your reasoning is quite literally just as vital as your final answer. If you mess up a final calculation but your procedural execution was flawless, the examiner's red pen is still going to award you massive method points.
Section 11.2. Applying the rescue strategy to audio processing. Let's take this high-level strategy and apply it directly to one of the most notoriously difficult areas in the entire syllabus.
To secure marks in 11.2, you absolutely cannot just memorize definitions. You need a standardized procedural execution checklist. First, ask yourself what are the key audio elements requested. Second, which principles apply? Are we dealing with a delay, a reverb, or maybe a channel conversion? Third, execute the analysis with clear working, explaining the actual technical mechanism. Fourth, verify your results. And finally, present it all in the appropriate format using precise academic terminology.
Let's actually look at this execution in action. A flawed answer reads simply, delay makes an echo. Well, true, but you aren't explaining acoustics to a 5-year-old, you're trying to secure Cambridge A-level marks. Now look at the improved top-band answer. Applying a 50-millisecond delay creates a distinct echo, meeting the acoustic requirement for the hospital system. See the difference? It uses specific metrics, it explains the mechanism, and it flawlessly links the audio processing back to the specific scenario context given in the exam.
But where are students still going wrong? Well, I dug into the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports for 11.2, and there are 3 devastating mistakes you need to memorize so you can avoid them. Mistake 1. Answers are way too vague. Examiners want specific details about how delay, echo, and reverberation function technically. Mistake 2. Formatting errors. Students just forget appropriate formatting and presentation conventions when detailing their methodology. And mistake 3. The ultimate sin. Contextual failure. This is when answers are entirely disconnected from the specific business, medical, or data scenario provided in the prompt.
And noticing these exact traps is crucial. We really need to heed the examiner warnings and avoid taking these wrong turns regarding accuracy, specificity, and development. The examiner's red pen is actively searching for generic points. You cannot just list a technique like changing stereo to mono and call it a day. You have to explain how it works, why it's better or worse for the given scenario, and explicitly tie your technological explanation right back to the examiner's chosen context.
So how do we lock all of this in before the actual exam begins? You need to master what we call the 3-pass revision cycle. Pass 1 is foundations, distinguishing your key concepts. Pass 2 is procedural rehearsal, practicing the exact step-by-step methodologies we just went over. And Pass 3 is adaptability, testing your flexibility across completely different, unfamiliar scenarios. But to truly execute that, you need the final piece of the puzzle.
Because this mock survival plan, it continues in the next explainer. Leaving now means you only have half the strategy. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at AceTheExams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations and completely bulletproof your responses. As you step into that exam hall, ask yourself, are you just going to write down what you vaguely remember? Or are you going to engineer a bulletproof, top-band response? Your next deep dive into the 9626 syllabus is waiting for you right now.